My name is Nora Castle, and I am a member of the conference convening committee. It is my honor to serve as your Master of Ceremonies today. As you will have seen, we have a full and exciting schedule of events for you over the next 3 days. We are very much looking forward to hearing from our thrilling keynotes, our excellent musicians, and our wonderful participants over the course of the conference. The conference committee has been working hard for the past few months, but none of this would be possible without the support of Cappadocia University, which has generously hosted the conference and has provided us with indispensable resources and support. To Cappadocia, I would like to say Tashakurla. I'll try that again.
Very good.
Tashakurla.
Well pronounced.
Thank you. During this opening ceremony, you will hear from a number of distinguished Cappadocia University representatives, as well as from the members of the convening committee. To begin with, I would like to introduce Alev Alatle, the chairperson of the Board of Trustees of Cappadocia University, as well as a best-selling novelist, who will make some opening remarks.
Thank you. Well, it's 4 p.m. here in Cappadocia, January 13th, and still no snow, just some rain, for which we are grateful, of course, or we should be grateful, as Anatolia is suffering from one of the worst droughts in the last 50 years. Those of you who have read up on Anatolia will know that our 4,000 meter tall Mount Erciyes, which is never without snow, even she is threatening to strip her white mantle away this year. Why I am saying this? So I think, as macabre as it is, living in the end times is indeed proved to be an appropriate title for this very remarkable and timely conference. I should like personally to take this opportunity of recording my pride the pride I take in our Environmental Humanities Center. Let me also put on record my deep gratitude for Professor Serpil Opperman for her thorough, constructive, and imaginative leadership. Having said that, my very special thanks go to our own English Language and Literature Department. I appreciate the efforts of Dr. Sinan Akıllı and his colleagues in creating an oasis, as it were, of learning in the post-truth area. As I can see, today is not the time for it, but post-truth, and I have trouble adjusting to or accepting without a fight. And as Nora a minute ago came up, at this point, I leave thanking my special thanks to our rector, Professor Karasay, as I don't want to take more of your time or say the same things twice. So, as I said, I appreciate the efforts of Dr. Sinan Akıllı and his colleagues in creating this oasis of learning in the middle of Anatolia and in the post-truth area, which is very important, I find. Now, above all, I celebrate those who answered our call and took their places in front of their screens to join us in Cappadocia today, right now. And I understand there will be some 208 of us coming from 42 countries. And I bid you all a very, very warm welcome. And I hope to meet you, not in a too long while, in flesh and blood, for a real gathering in Cappadocia, which is a 10,000-year-old campus. That's what we have. If you can come, I'll even treat you to a hot balloon ride, which you will enjoy. And if you're exaggerating, if you think that I'm exaggerating this 100,000-year-old campus bit, well, I'm not. Please note that Hlara, the valley, boasts a classroom built around 8,400 BC, which is quite some time ago. Now, having said all this, I am the founding chairman of the Board of Trustees. Alev Alatlı. Nora, this is for you. This is Alevlatli, Alatlı. I say chairman. I don't like chairperson, the word. I do realize chairwoman, chair, why is it used? But Turkish has no gender attached to the words. So as far as I'm concerned, chairman can be a woman as well. Anyhow, whatever reputation I have here in my country comes from my writing career rather than my chairmanship or as an educator, which I like to think I am. I have a long teaching background in the university. Even so, here in Turkey, I'm more known as a chairman. And I'm more known as a novelist than a chairman. Now, I thought you might find this interesting. About 20 years ago, I published the first dystopian science fiction in Turkey. It was a 2-volume book called Schrödinger's Cat. The first volume is called Nightmare. The second one has the heading The Dream. Now, you'll remember Erwin Schrödinger, I think, as the Austrian physicist who won in 1933 Nobel Prize for his extraordinary contribution to quantum mechanics, namely his thought experiment known as Schrödinger's cat. Schrödinger's cat illustrates the so-called quantum indeterminacy through the manipulation of a perfectly sealed environment and attempts to demonstrate the ability of a hypothetical finite being to violate the second law of thermodynamics. Now, I won't go into this, but thermodynamics, second law is about entropy. Anyhow, it all boils down to is that a cat that is sealed in a box is both alive and dead at the same time. Now hear this. A Turkish Muslim writer that I am, I could easily project the idea of a hypothetical finite being onto myself and my people. I repeat that. Hypothetical finite being. I could understand that very easily, even though quantum physics is not my immediate field. But I could do this, and not for myself, but also by people. Little is as such, actually, I could do it. The more I thought about the cat, the more I could see people who were both dead and alive. For instance, the Syrian refugees, babies, toddlers, pregnant women, all crammed into an inflatable raft in the middle of Mediterranean, nowhere actually. Now, their ontological state, whether they were, that's what I mean, dead or alive, was to be decided, was left to be decided by those who made the political experiment, political decisions. Now, this is not very much different from Schrödinger's experimenter, who sits in a lab and has two holes in front of him. The one hole is where the sunlight comes in, if it is in the photon form, or in the wave form, the second, it comes from the second hole. Which hole the light will come depends on how the experimenter wants to see it. Now, how you see it, how you want to see something determines its reality. This idea to me sounded very scary, at the same time very interesting. So from this came this fantastic Schrödinger's cat, the world as being both dead and alive. And I think that's what it is, finally. In this whole thing about we choose what we are and what's to be done about it, if anything. And the dystopia part was, of course, the nightmare part. I could imagine in Istanbul, you must have seen these tall skyscrapers, these so-called smart buildings. I could see smart buildings, 10th, 11th, 50th floors, literally pipes, stovepipes coming through the windows, broken windows and stovepipes. Why? Because they weren't functioning anymore. The intelligence, as it were. And all this was, to me, it is in dystopia, that's what I did. And to me, all this was in had close connection, actually, with the way the politics of the world turned around. What I'm saying is the states lost their hegemonia. Instead came the NGOs, and NGOs of all kinds became so strong that they took states' places, but they were so numerous, there's so many in number, that we lost the right and wrong. That's why I talk about post-truth. So the time has come now. I think this was about 20 years ago, this book was published, but I sort of feel I might be right in my extrapolation, meaning that the point here is that at this time, I see Trump. Trump is not all that important. What's important is the some 70 million people who voted for him. And then I look at Europe, and then in Europe I see some like 136 parties, green parties, of which about 30 some are pedophiles. And everybody seems to be very happy with all this goings on. So that's my dystopia. I wish we could discuss it more with you people, but I know this won't be possible because it is not in any other language but Turkish. You'll have to learn Turkish, or I'll have to find someone patient enough to translate. Again, I welcome you and wish you a very, very productive conference in coming days. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Perhaps we have a translator in the audience who'd be happy to take up that task. And also you mentioned the campus, and the photo I have as my background is actually a photo of Cappadocia taken by Emrah. So you can see how beautiful really it is of the area.
Well, it is, I don't know, dear Miss. I have seen people come in and there are not enough trees here, for instance. Again, it's your people who said beauty is really in the eyes of the beholder. It just depends on how you look at it. You know, I've seen people say, I've seen people sitting next to or staying next to say, stone or something, and says, "Where is the tree?" It's impossible to understand, really. It's impossible to understand. Actually, maybe I should add just one thing. The Schrodinger's cat 1 or 2. I don't know if I should say this, but Professor Opperman is just about the only person who could see through this book. And she has an excellent criticism of it, in English, I think it was. You might want to take a look at it, just simply because it's coming from the Middle East. And in the Middle East, we are injured people, that you should know, injured bodily and mentally. And it sort of fits us, this nightmare. And yeah, I shouldn't make you more upset than you really probably are. Thank you again.
Thank you. Yes, the PDF of that commentary is on the Discord server if anyone's on there. So if you go on the Discord, you can download that PDF and read it. And I believe that it will be talked about a bit later as well. So thank you so much. Next, I have the honor of introducing Professor Dr. Hasan Ali Karasar, who is the rector of Cappadocia University.
Well, thank you, Nora, and great background. I was just gonna say that, but you showed that great picture, and I didn't know it was taken by Emrah Atasoy. So great picture. Dear colleagues, greetings, and first let me say congratulations to the organization committee members, starting from Dr. Atasoy. You are all very scary. Topics of discussion are more scary. I mean, looking at the list, zombies, etc., apocalypse, I'm really scared. Firstly, let me thank the members of the organizing committee, namely Emrah Atasoy from our university, Cappadocia University. Dr. Atasoy, thank you very much. You are doing a great job, both for teaching at the research and organizing this very important international conference. Heather, I hear your name very often. Heather Albero from Nottingham Trent University in the UK, thank you. Nora, as the Master of Ceremony, Nora Castle from University of Warwick in the UK, Ryan Firth from the University of Essex in the UK, Martin Greenwood from the University of Manchester in the UK, Robert Horsfield from Birmingham in the UK, Burcu Kayışçı Akkoyun from Boğaziçi University, Turkey, Pelin Kıvrak from Harvard University in the US, Conrad Scott from the University of Alberta in Canada, and Bridget Vincent from the University of Nottingham in the UK. I really would like to express my heartfelt congratulations and thanks in the name of Cappadocia University. I would also like to thank the musicians Nathalie Bogosian and Hans van Berlin from the Netherlands for their performance upcoming after all these ceremonies. Well, I have never met someone who thinks that this world that we live in is perfect. This is equally same for all nations, all spectrums of politics. And we have done only two options, either to accept it as it is and allow the ones who are even making it worse and worse by all means, or fight. Fight against poverty, illiteracy, global cartels destroying our planet, mining, poisoning our water. Fight against inequalities, racism, sectarianism, as well as diseases and pandemics. We are just doing that. And this is a fight for our children, for our beautiful air, for our beautiful mountains, rivers, as much as for our values and for the integrity of humankind with the planet and all the unique species surrounding us. To carry out this fight needs good people, determination, and also some combat skills. Just like a few universities in history, at Cappadocia University, we have our board of trustees, our administration, our faculty, our students, and our alumni, all united and determined to carry out this fight. And I am proud of being a part of this great team under the leadership of our founder and chairman of Board of Trustees, Alev Alatlı, who is, as a literary figure, actually has shown dystopia, as she said, 20 plus years ago to the Turkish public, and we have been all very close followers of her dystopia at that time and still. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in his Columbia University lectures just last month, which was titled as the State of the Planet, he said that humanity is waging war on nature, and this is suicidal. Nature always strikes back, and it is already doing so with growing force and fury. As the UN Secretary General's comments show, there is deep international concern that the impacts of human activities on our planet's cycles are imperiling human societies globally. Such concerns are also reflected in 2020 Human Development Report of UNDP, which was titled The Next Frontier, Human Development and the Anthropocene. Clearly, within the highest levels of international diplomacy, we are witnessing recognition that human activities that have defined the Anthropocene are now culminated in a deadly pandemic, have created a dystopian vision of the world. Medieval words of wisdom, such as one man's rubbish may be another's treasure, or one man's pleasure is another's pain, or even more famous, one man's tragedy is another man's comedy. Type of Manichaean dualism or dichotomy should not be applied or reflected to our fight for a better future. I see many who attribute that to the debate on utopia and dystopia. I have friends all over the world, in different parts of the world, who are more or less ready for an alien invasion or for the apocalypse already. And you cannot imagine how different backgrounds they come from, education-wise, nation-wise, religion-wise. Zombies and my daughter is another story. I used to get scared of the zombie stories. My daughter is getting fun about zombies. I used to read a children's journal in Turkey in 1970s. It's called Milliyet Çocuk. It was full of alien stories, kidnapping Turkish children from different cities, etc. And I used to have sleeping disorders because I was so scared of aliens. My daughter, 6-year-old daughter right now, is dreaming of traveling to Pluto or Mars in the foreseeable future. Interesting times, interesting transition period. For many reasons, I'm an optimist. First, I live in Cappadocia, which is a live geographical and cultural witness of the evolution of our planet as well as our human civilization. And second, meeting colleagues like you makes me realize the boundless potential that we can do all together. You all inspire us, and it's an honor to meet with all of you in this very distinguished event. For this reason, among others, Living in the End Times conference is a great, timely event. I wish all of the participants great success and in addressing this topical issue for the upcoming days. And thank you and good luck.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Karsar. Now we will hear from Professor Dr. Serpil Operman, Director of the Environmental Humanities Center at Cappadocia University. And those of you who work in environmental humanities will undoubtedly already be familiar with her work.
Thank you. Dear Alev Alatlı, the chair of the Board of Trustees and founder of Cappadocia University, dear Professor Hasan Ali Karasar, president of the university, dear Dr. Sinan Akıllı, vice dean of the Faculty of Humanities, and Dr. Emrah Atasoy, the mastermind in the organization of the interdisciplinary conference, properly entitled Living in the End Times, Utopian and Dystopian Representations of Pandemics in Fiction, Film, and Culture. And dear keynote speakers, colleagues, and students, it is a true pleasure for me to welcome you all. We would have preferred a physical meeting in Cappadocia, the magical land of fairy chimneys, but the novel coronavirus has forced us to hold this meeting online. For now, we are delighted to have you here and thank you for joining us today to participate and share in the conference. Although we have learned the arts of living on a damaged planet by experiencing the dire effects of global climate instability, which alone shows that we have long been complicit in harming the Earth's ecosystems, we now need to learn how not to be messmates in the planet's natural cycles, which led us to the current eco-dystopian reality of pandemics and ecological decline. Those of us who have read Alev Alatlı's two-volume novel, Schrödinger's Cat, published in 1999, might recognize a strange sense of familiarity with the fictional dystopia that unfolds there, but also a sense of hope and new possibilities of redemption if we can reconnect with the Earth. We may be like the characters in the first volume called Nightmare, a postmodern dystopia emerging in a nightmarish vision of Turkey and the world in the year 2020, which is how Alev Alatlı has imagined last year to be like. But the final words of this volume, "Don't be afraid," signals a wave of hope that unfolds in the next volume entitled Dream, pointing to an achievable ecological existence. This is possible, the author claims, if we all can learn to live in harmony with the powers of the skies and the earth, as the ancient Turks who called themselves Sky Turks did. I certainly hope that, like this masterpiece that signals the possibility of a dystopia becoming a utopia, we will finally heed the call of our planet to responsibility, even in the worst pandemic conditions today. Like the characters in Schrödinger's Cat, we can redirect attention to the importance of reconnecting to our planetary ecosystems from which we have been disconnected. To this end, Ecoscene, Cappadocia Journal of Environmental Humanities, has been established as the official journal of our Environmental Humanities Center at Cappadocia University. Since the center offers new perspectives to the entangled ecological urgencies and ethical and social problems surrounding our fragile planet, we wanted these perspectives to represent a common and flexible platform to reimagine the human, non-human relationalities on our damaged planet to ensure a livable future. Ecoscene's inaugural issue was thus devoted to the most prominent environmental humanities scholars' responses to the world's scientists' warnings to humanity. And I must here add that we as editors, that is Sinan Akıllı, Stephen Hartman, and myself, are co-signatories of these warning letters. The good news here is that this issue is announced on the official website called Alliance of World Scientists, with the headlines, I quote, "This is the first of its kind of a special peer-reviewed journal issue devoted entirely to the world scientists' warnings." And today, we find ourselves living in a global perturbation caused by a dreadful pandemic. But for as long as we continue to give voice to all beings that suffer the consequences of environmental transformations, there will be hope. The solutions lie with us, even though dire conditions will not suddenly dissolve, nor will deadly viruses unexpectedly vanish. So I hope that the conference Living in the End Times will inspire new hopes for sustainable biotic existence and also for a deeper understanding of human and multi-species interconnections. I also hope that we can invest our attention in constructing positive visions of the future, however difficult this may sound, and generate the creativity to imagine better ethical responses that take into account the voices of everything that is more than human, the diverse communities of flora and fauna that make our planet livable. I believe that we can change the stakes of the game and rewrite our earthly tale furnished with non-anthropocentric meanings, which can materialize with new forms of resistance, new narratives, and new imaginative vocabularies that heed the unheard voices of disrupted non-human entities as well as human communities. If we bear in mind that, I quote, we are interconnected as a biosphere and a civilization, as Kim Stanley Robinson reminds us, we can communicate a message of revaluing all earthly agencies facing threats of extinctions. I also know that Living in the End Times will open culturally innovative, ethically sustainable, and socially adaptable ecological visions in the face of global pandemics so that we can imagine and construct a more livable world in this age of post-truth. So a very warm welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to reiterate that the Ecocene Journal has some really fantastic contributions to the scholarship. So I really encourage everyone here to check it out after the conference. Yes, so now we will hear from, lastly, before we hear from the Conference Convening Committee, we have the honor of hearing from Dr. Sinan Akilla, Vice Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and the head of the English Language and Literature Department at Cappadocia University.
Thank you very much, Nora. Distinguished chairman of the Board of Trustees of Cappadocia University, distinguished rector, esteemed keynote speakers, dear colleagues participating to the Living in the End Times conference, from what seems to be almost the full range of the different time zones across the globe. It's a true privilege for me to welcome you all today on behalf of our Faculty of Humanities and our Department of English Language and Literature. The 18 time zones I counted on the time zone cheat sheet, which is a brilliant idea. It made me reflect on how we, even as we speak about living in the end times, can freeze time if we have the will, and of how the past, the present, and the future are one and same if we care to stop and think. We're all here to stop and think today because we all care about the past, the present, and the future of our planet and of humanity and human stories. And if it's these temporalities and these human stories that will be revisited during the conference. But then again, we all know that that this is not a revisitation acted out by exclusively human entities. We all know that our get together today here is an effect of the agency of an animal, a cosmopolitan animal, so to speak, the coronavirus. It seems as if, in a peculiar way, the agency of a cosmopolitan animal is what defines all pandemics. It seems as if I personally now have a renewed understanding of what Donna Haraway wrote in the preface to the edited collection, Cosmopolitan Animals, published in 2015. Haraway wrote, quote, "It matters what thoughts think thoughts. It matters what knowledges know knowledges. It matters what relations relate relations. No one can just state definitely what is or what matters. All semiosis makes meanings through other meanings, in the flesh, in time, in relentless contingency, in the muddle of ongoing living and dying. It matters which worlds worlds, and which stories tell stories. Whoever and whatever we were, are, will become, we think, act, narrate, metabolize, and come into and out of existence through each other, within each other, at stake to, and with each other, end quote. I believe that Haraway's riff sums up the essence of this conference, not only its central theme and scope, but also the process of its becoming. The fantastic colleagues in the organizing committee have been working day and night for months now so that we can world the world today. To them, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude. They made possible the nearly impossible. The administration and staff of Cappadocia University have provided all the support one can ever imagine for the preparations. I'd like to express my gratefulness to them once again. And once again, we are proud to be members of this young and visionary institution. Dear musicians who kindly agreed to contribute to the opening ceremony with a performance, thank you very much. Your presence further elevates the event like all art does. We'll look forward to the concert. Last but not least, I would like to thank the conference participants and chairs, as well as the audience who will be with us during these 3 days from across 18 different time zones. I hope that living in the end times is only a beginning and that we will welcome you here in Cappadocia sooner than later for a face-to-face event as well. I trust that my fabulous colleague, Emre Atasoy, will see to it that this is only the beginning. I know he can. Thank you, Emre. I wish everyone a successful and productive conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And once again, thank you to Cappadocia University and to all of you for being here, and to our speakers so far for really touching beautifully on some of the themes of the conference, even as we're just getting started. So that's been really fantastic. So now we'll move on to the conference convening committee, who will make some remarks, starting with Heather Alberro.
Thank you so much, Nora, for that excellent introduction, and to everyone from Cappadocia University for your very humble and lovely opening remarks and start to the ceremony. So yes, I am Heather Alberro, and I'm a lecturer in Global Studies at Nottingham Trent University, and it's my greatest pleasure and honor to be with you all here today, and to see so many people and excited attendees from so many different corners of the globe. That was one of the shining moments and sort of one of the key moments of pride with us for the organizational committee in terms of just the scope, the incredible reach of this conference. But just a little bit to start off, a little bit about the origins of where this idea even came about. It really started once the tumultuous year of 2020 had kicked off with the pandemic, of course, and not to mention, of course, other crises around the time, wildfires raging across Australia, and numerous environmental crises that have sort of been worsening over the time, and of course now with the confluence of the pandemic. And Emre and I were having a chat about all of these things, and really sort of the idea of hosting an event that sort of captures all of these this confluence of end time events. We thought this would be something that would be very fruitful and urgent and necessary to address a lot of these issues. This was sort of coming together in the early weeks of the lockdown, the very socioeconomic, political, spatial, temporal upheavals and reconfigurations wrought by this boundary-defying event. And ironically, which is all something that's brought us all together, because it does melt boundaries, it reconfigures them, and it allowed us to put on this virtual event that allowed participation across the world. So that was one sort of ironic and helpful and anticipated consequence. But the idea to have this conference to explore not only the various reconfigurations of what they might suggest for human, as particularly human, non-human relationships, but the idea was to explore the utopian and dystopian dimensions of this event and similar end time events, so climate and ecological breakdown, and to remember that these sort of end time events particularly have been imposed by us, well, not a homogeneous humanity, but by particularly certain forces and certain groups. And they have been imposed on other species, other collectives throughout the world. So the end is a very real phenomenon for so many species, so many sort of marginal populations, indigenous groups around the world. But end time events provide radical potential for reimagining more ethical and livable worlds, particularly with our non-human counterparts and human others around the world. So there's great potential with these sorts of events, despite how damaging and destructive and perilous they can be. So what began as an informal chat grew into really an incredible international endeavor whose scope has exceeded our wildest expectations. With nearly 900 registered participants, we received over 239 abstract submissions of exceptional quality from over 48 different countries. Of these, we accepted 176 papers, panels, 1 roundtable, and 4 keynote presentations. And as I mentioned earlier, we are absolutely thrilled by the diversity on display here amongst our delegates, amongst our speakers, and with over 200 speakers from 42 different countries. And as some of my committee members already kind of touched on earlier, an incredibly difficult logistically feat to organize all of these different papers and panel sessions from so many different time zones. And it took many, many weeks of hard work with my incredible co-organizing committee. But here we are today, and I couldn't be more excited to see the development over the next couple of days. And I'd just like to extend a very warm thank you. So many individuals, organizations were instrumental in the organization of this conference. But just to name a few, our keynote speakers, my incredible co-organizing team. It really does take a village to put something like this on. And none of this would have been possible without them. Our musicians for graciously agreeing to put on a mini concert for later today, our chairs, our presenters, and of course, Cappadocia University for your invaluable administrative and technological support throughout every planning stage of this conference. And it goes without saying that none of this would have been possible without any of you. So I couldn't thank you enough for all of this, for all of your contributions. I very much look forward to the day's proceedings and to listen to the incredible array of topics on display by our delegates. And for those of you on Twitter, do feel free to tweet throughout the proceedings, and don't forget to use our official conference hashtag #PandemicImaginaries. Thank you.
Yes, hello everyone. I think greetings from Cappadocia. It is a pleasure and honor to be here with you all today. I would like to start off by thanking all the members of the organizing committee, especially Nora and Heather, without whose support this conference would not have been possible. I would also like to thank my institution, Cappadocia University or Cappadocia Üniversitesi, for hosting this event and for their invaluable administrative and technical support throughout every planning stage. In this regard, I would like to extend my gratitude to Alev Alatlı, the chairperson of the Board of Trustees of Cappadocia University, Professor Dr. Hasan Ali Karasar, the rector of Cappadocia University, Funda Aktan, the coordinator of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Halil İbrahim Ünser, the Secretary General, Professor Dr. Serpil Operman, the Director of Environmental Humanities Center at Cappadocia University, Dr. Sinan Akıllı, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and the head of English Language and Literature Department, for his invaluable support throughout every planning stage. Also, a special thank goes to Burcu Satılmış from Cappadocia University, who has diligently helped us day and night with any technical aspects of the conference. And of course, to Cappadocia support team members. I would also like to thank the following learning societies for helping to support and promote our conference. The Society for Utopian Studies, especially Elizabeth Schreiber Byers for backup, Utopian Studies Society Europe, Science Fiction Research Association, European Society for the Study of English Essay, English Language and Literature Research Association of Turkey, IDEA. I would also extend my thanks to the Embassy of Canada to Turkey and His Excellency Jamal Kokar, the Embassy of Ireland in Turkey and Her Excellency Sonia McGuinness, and the Italian Embassy in Turkey and His Excellency Massimo Giaiani for promoting our conference on social media. Another big thank you to our musicians, Nathalie Bogosian and Hans van Belen from the Netherlands, who kindly accepted our invitation to deliver a 30-minute live performance to add even greater joy to our conference proceedings. Thank to all our keynote speakers, Kim Stanley Robinson, Maggie G, Larissa Lai, Darko Suvin, Tom Moylan, Raffaella Baccolini, Philip Wegner, Lawrence Davis, and Patricia McManus for generously taking time out of your busy schedules to deliver talks that are sure to spark lively discussions throughout the conference and beyond. Last, but most certainly not least, a big thank to our chairs for agreeing to facilitate the keynotes and numerous panel sessions. Your help is immensely appreciated. I wish everyone a fruitful conference and thank you. Now, Nora will be speaking.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Emra. Hi again. I would like to reiterate all the thanks that my colleagues have expressed. Without our gracious keynotes, our outstanding technical support team, and all of you, our speakers and our attendees, living in the end times would not have been possible. It's been a really fantastic effort making such an international event possible, and we received such a wonderful outpouring of support. I wanted to talk a little bit about our convening team. So many of us met at the Utopian Studies Society Europe's 2019 conference in Prato, Italy. From that conference, we developed a network of Utopian Studies comrades, and it was this network that helped pull together many of the fabulous team members that we have today. Like our conference, which, as Heather mentioned, features participants from 52 different countries, our team is also international. We're based in the UK, in Turkey, in Canada, and the US, and we hail from a variety of backgrounds and career stages. Despite our own time zone issues, we were able to arrange nearly 200 speakers, or over 200 speakers from 18 different time zones into a cohesive schedule that hopefully does not require any of our colleagues to present in the middle of the night or in the wee hours of the morning. This is thanks largely to the teamwork and understanding that my colleagues have displayed, as well as to an astounding number of spreadsheets. We really have been so lucky to have such a caring conference committee and such excellent support from Cappadocia University. And I hope that this will not be the last time that we join forces. So congrats everyone on this wonderful event finally coming to pass. And I cannot wait to hear all that's in store from our keynotes and our presenters. Now I would like to pass the spotlight over to Burcu Kayashi Akkoyun, who will speak next.
Thank you very much, Nora, and beautiful job in pronouncing my name. I know you've been trying hard. Thanks so much for that. Good afternoon from Istanbul. Wow, it's finally happening, and we're very, very happy and excited. Welcome all. I am Burcu Kayashi Akkoyun, and I'm an assistant professor of Western languages and literatures at Boğaziçi University. I have been interested in utopianism, dystopianism, and the rhetoric of the end times for quite a while now, and that's why it is really great to be here. I would like to join my friends in thanking seriously each and every member of Cappadocia University, from the rectorate to the department members and the technical staff, who have been very, very, very supportive since day one, all along our journey. And I would like to thank my friend and colleague Emrah Atasoy for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this wonderful team. I also thank all my teammates, especially Nora and Heather. Finally, thank you, wonderful people, our keynote speakers, our chairs, presenters, musicians, and of course, you, dear attendees, who are making this event as amazing as it is. And yeah, as Professor Opperman mentioned, of course, this is not the same as a 3D conference in which we love exchanging ideas and cookies over coffee breaks. But still, perhaps, if we look at the bright side, we can say that perhaps the platform, the format is the reason why so many great people from all around the world can be with us today. So once again, thank you all, welcome, and we hope you enjoy these 3 days of stimulating conversation. Now I'll stop and leave the floor to Rhiannon Firth. Thank you very much. Welcome again.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Hi, I'm Rhiannon Firth. I'm a senior researcher at the University of Essex, and my work is on social movements and grassroots political utopias. I'm speaking to you from my home in London, the epicenter of the new UK mutated virus. And I'm sorry for the background noise. In London, building unaffordable flats is essential work, even when up to 1 in 16 of us has the virus right now. Our context is a terrifying dystopia, but it also brings many opportunities for connection, this conference being not least among them. I recently published a book about the pandemic called Coronavirus, Class and Mutual Aid in the UK. I'll also be presenting a completely new paper on Friday with my friend Erica Lagalis, who's in Canada. We wouldn't have been able to write that and present together without this format. I've really enjoyed being on the organising committee and reading many of the abstracts during the review process and putting panels together. While I feel I played a relatively minor role in the organising committee compared to those who spoke before me, I also have some insight into the enormous team effort that has gone into the technical, organisational and academic side of this conference, especially with the overwhelming and unexpected response we received, with nearly 750 registered participants and over 200 abstracts from 48 countries and 18 time zones that we needed to treat with the individual attention that their quality deserved. It was really important to us that the conference was free and inclusive. It's been an incredible learning experience. We've had several last-minute dropouts, and I've come to realise that an online conference for free might not spark the same levels of commitment as one where attendees had to pay a fee and arrange travel. I'd therefore really like to extend a special thanks to everyone who's honoured their decisions to present and to chair, and I really look forward to meeting many of you over the upcoming days. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague now, to Conrad.
Greetings from Treaty 6 territory in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. My name is Conrad Scott. I teach and work at the University of Alberta in Edmonton. I'd like to welcome all of the speakers and all of the participants, all of the keynotes. Thank you so very much for being part of our international interdisciplinary conference. It's wonderful to be part of this convening team. And I'd like to thank my colleagues so much for all of their hard work over the last weeks in bringing together this wonderful conference. Looking forward very much to all of the presentations and the keynotes for the conference. I'd like to, before I pass it on, especially highlight the Canadian keynote, Larissa Lai. Thank you to Larissa for joining the keynote team, and to all the other keynotes for what I'm sure will be wonderful talks and discussions in the roundtables. And I'd like to pass it now on to Bridget Vincent. Thank you and good luck for the conference for everyone else.
Thank you very much. I am absolutely thrilled to be here. My name is Bridget Vincent and I work on modern poetry and ethics. And so I'm delighted to be part of the committee which organized this, but my role was kind of slightly smaller than a lot of others here, so I'm going to be reasonably brief. But just to say, I think one of the things that this conference has kind of helped to show is that, you know, ideas of utopianism can be sort of shown institutionally through small things like the way that we organize together for conferences and the kind of, you know, democratic efforts that have been made to both organize together in an effective, democratic, supportive way have really given me a lot of hope in this kind of dark time, as has also happened with the way that people have responded. You know, we've had an incredible response around the world to the call for papers, and just a wonderful sort of response from keynotes, from musicians, in a way that has, I think, yeah, embodied utopian values. So thank you very much for everyone who is contributing to the conference in any way. And yeah, I just think that this can help show the larger importance of the humanities in responding to disaster, because, you know, especially in a truly global way, you know, it can only happen in this way. And so I think this conference acts as a kind of model for that. So I'm truly honored to be part of that. Thank you. And I'll pass it along to my next colleague. Thanks.
Hello. Oh no.
Rob, I think you are muted. Sorry, Rob.
I'll start again. Sorry about that. I'm grateful for the opening words by the faculty of Cappadocia University and my fellow committee members. Thank you, and teşekkürler. I'm Rob. I'm a former postgraduate at the University of Warwick. Aside from my administrative job in the National Health Service, I work in a voluntary capacity with a tenants union in the UK called Acorn, who are, because of this pandemic and the response of the British government, fighting to protect people at risk of losing their homes through rent arrears and illegal evictions. Many such groups are struggling around the world to achieve the basic rights we all deserve, which, to paraphrase Herbert Marcuse, seem utopian only because of the forces arrayed against them. I am therefore honoured to have helped the committee set up this magnificent conference dedicated to thinking through the pandemic. Each committee member has been a privilege to work with. All of them have made a special effort to arrange it. All of them have done so with responsibilities life will not let us escape. Particular thanks goes to Emrah and his extraordinary logistical work, and Nora for her work as MC and her last-minute edits of our programme. Last but not least, thank you to all those who are presenting, who are chairing, and our marvellous key speakers, Maggie Gee, Larissa Lai, and Kim Stanley Robinson. It's my pleasure to be able to watch all this hard work unfold. Here's to a wonderful conference. Now over to Martin. Hello. Wow, what an amazing occasion this is. Hello from a very grey and wet day in Manchester, which you're all brightening up marvellously. I'm a third-year PhD student at the university here in Manchester in the sociology department. That department is half a mile away from my flat here, and so is my desk, my beloved desk, that is presumably still there caked in dust at the moment. At the end of March last year, I just received ethical approval for the fieldwork for my PhD. But just as I was on the cusp of making my PhD connect with the empirical world for the first time properly, much of the empirical world was kind of switched off and dematerialized a little bit. And so my PhD sort of feels like it's in a kind of dematerialized suspense, but helping out, however minimally my contribution has been with this conference, has shown what amazing and remarkable things are possible, even when we have all been to a certain extent dematerialized a little bit. A remarkable effort has gone into putting this on. I've been so impressed with how this has come together. And it looks like it's going to be a wonderful conference. So thanks all of you for being here and for letting me come along too. And let's keep in mind the even more remarkable things that we might achieve when we've all been rematerialized. I'd like to pass on now to my colleague Pelin from Harvard.
Hi, everyone. Hi, my name is Pelin Kavrak, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the Mahindra Humanities Center at Harvard University. I work on ethical philosophy and migration in contemporary literature and visual arts. It was such an honor to be organizing and be part of such a large-scale international conference on such a timely and timeless topic. even though I was joining from Boston and the time difference was not always on our side. I would like to thank everyone who put so much effort in making this come to life. And in the midst of all the uncertainties that we're going through, one thing I know for sure is that the next few days will be great.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to my colleagues from the conference convening committee for their words. It's now 3 p.m. German time, which would be 5 p.m. Turkish time and whatever time it is where you are now. So we will reconvene in an hour for our first keynote. So if you see on the program, we actually have a little bit more time. So hopefully you can grab a cup of tea or coffee, maybe a snack, and we will see you then. And as always, the links are on the program. And we will be listening to Elizabeth Audka giving a talk entitled End Times, New Visions, the Literary Aftermath of the Influenza Pandemic. So excited to see you there.
And Nora, maybe a small note, so sorry, maybe each link is unique, so please use the other link. I think that's an important note.
Yes, so if you go on the program in the section entitled Schedule Overview and Teams/Zoom links, you will have the link to each of the different sessions, and you just need to click the name of the session and it will automatically open it if you have Teams and Zoom installed on your computer. And if you're not a chair, you don't need to worry about having a password or anything like that. Just click the link and you're good to go. For the chairs, you should have all the information in your inbox. And as always, if you have any questions, just reach out to us. So thanks so much, everyone.
Herkese teşekkürler.
Teşekkürler.